being kicked out.
The IPC unable to ignore Paralympians from other countries in the athletes' village in Beijing who threatened to withdraw if Russian and Belarusian athletes were allowed to compete.
Fox's Jared Max. Democrats are ratcheting up Trump accusations.
The House committee looking into the January 6 riot says evidence shows the former president and his associates engaged in a criminal conspiracy to block the certification process of the election.
Fox's Jill Nato. Republicans have dismissed that committee's work as political. The price of oil is surging up another $2+, and its surge this week is costing us at the pump. AAA reports gas is up 7 cents. It's gained over a dime in 2 days. America's listening to Fox News.
Run, walk, honor. The Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk in New York City retraces FDNY firefighter Steven Siller's final footsteps on 9/11. That single event has inspired more than 70 runs, walks, and climbs in different cities across the nation each year. Register for an event in your area or volunteer to start one. Do good and never forget by donating $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historic low rates may be a great reason to refinance, but when matched with an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot, you could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year Smart Term loan or our 10-year ARM loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit LoanDepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:03, 40 degrees right now in Columbia. Our high today about 56 degrees. It is going to be a gorgeous day today. Sunshine a little cooler than yesterday. Clear tonight, low near 35, and tomorrow sunshine with a high of 67 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here are some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. We begin with that deadly crash that happened last night on Highway 54 in Callaway County. A child from St. Louis has been killed in the crash. State troopers say the 8-year-old boy was pronounced dead at Capital Region Medical Center. The police report, the patrol report, has just been posted here in the last few hours. Troopers say the crash happened as a vehicle driven by a Jefferson City woman stopped in the right lane of 54 near the Route 000 exit. A second vehicle driven by 40-year-old Elizabeth Miller of Fulton struck the rear of that first car, causing Miller's vehicle to overturn. The 8-year-old was a passenger in the vehicle that had stopped. 3 others in that vehicle sustained moderate injuries. Miller life-flighted to University Hospital Columbia with serious injuries at this hour. Meantime, Missouri's governor will be joining business and education leaders at a ribbon-cutting ceremony this morning. They'll be highlighting a new lab in expanded job skill programs here in Columbia.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson will be in Columbia this morning to help cut the ribbon on the new MACC lab, which is located at Parkade Center. The lab has numerous state-of-the-art tools and equipment, and the aim is to develop skills and to encourage entrepreneurship. Moberly Area Community College President Jeff Lashley and Columbia Chamber of Commerce leaders will join the governor at the ceremony, which begins at 10 o'clock. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thanks. Columbia's Airport Advisory Board receiving a close-up view yesterday of the $23 million new terminal that is being built at Columbia Regional Airport. The board touring the new COU terminal that is scheduled to open up this summer. Mayor Brian Treese describes the new terminal as a generational investment, one that puts further destinations in play. Project's main funding source, a hotel tax approved by Columbia voters back in 2016. In Jefferson City, Missouri's governor says the State House dome is still lit blue and yellow in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Governor Mike Parson has ordered the dome to continue to shine blue and yellow through sunrise tomorrow as Ukrainians defend their nation against the Russian invasion. Blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian national flag. 2 top Missouri Republicans have unveiled a plan they hope will remove Russian products from shelves and also send a message about human rights.
Missouri officials proposed to cancel public contracts with Russian entities and pull Russian products from stores as they join a growing contingent of U.S. states targeting the country over the war with Ukraine. Republican Lieutenant Governor Mike Keogh said he was encouraging retailers to remove Russian products such as vodka from their shelves and replace them with American-made alternatives. Board of the Missouri State Employees Retirement System meeting today to consider divesting its Russian holdings. John Marsh, 93.9, The Eagle.
All right, thanks so much. And Kehoe was joined by that, John, thank you, by the House Majority Floor Leader, Dean Plocher, who is from Des Peres. He was also at that press briefing in Jefferson City yesterday. And Missouri senior senator says the Show Me State is where the nation comes together. Retiring Senator Roy Blunt recently addressed the Missouri House in Jefferson City.
St. Louis, in many ways, is the westernmost eastern city. Kansas City, the easternmost western city.
Senator Blunt also emphasizing the differences between North Missouri, Southern Missouri, and the Boot Heel major cities as well. He says the Missouri House's daily debates in Jefferson City have a major resemblance to the national debate. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean for all of your heating needs. Log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. The Mizzou women's basketball team, you'll recall, started the year 8-0. They've had a good year, a few ups and downs, but they're looking pretty good right now, and hopefully they can win today. All indications are they got a good shot as well at the NCAA tournament. First things first, it is the SEC tournament. Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. Gorgeous facility. Brad Trinago will be courtside today. Mizzou and Arkansas, SEC tournament. Mizzou, the 9 seed, Arkansas, the 8 seed. Mizzou, 18 and 11. The Hogs, 17 and 12. Early game today. Not often we play during the day, but that is the case today. Noon tip. Central Bank Tiger Radio Network. Our Zimmer affiliate is KTGR, FM 100.5. Brad Trinago and Kathy on the call, 11:45 this morning with pregame coverage. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. Kevin, thank you. Clear skies, 40 degrees. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people at 608 93.9 The Eagle, 93.9theeagle.com. Roads right now are quiet. If you do want to report a traffic issue, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
What?
As Brian Hansen mentioned, Brian Hansen is the star of the Gary Nolan Show, weekday mornings at 9 o'clock here on 93.9 The Eagle. Brian Hansen labeled that the Sesame Street version.
I was just about to say, it sounds like Sesame Street or like kindergarten story time.
That's the Vice President of the United States. Before we move forward, is forehead one word or two words?
It's one word.
Okay. Yep. All right, thank you, because I'm posting the video. So you can watch the show on YouTube. Sure. Go to 93.9 The Eagle. You can also watch on Facebook if you want. But I'm posting on my personal page the video, and I'm just commenting, man, my forehead looks awfully shiny. And I didn't know if it was one word or two words. Can you fact-check that statement?
It doesn't look that bad. It's more or less the top of your head.
Welcome to the show. Wake Up Columbia. There's Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning, sir. Good
Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
Stephanie Bell has the day off. My name is Branden Rathert. This is the Vice President of the United States.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
A couple of things. Number one, we fact-checked that. She's correct.
Wow.
That is factually correct. That's like me doing a math problem saying 2 + 2 = 4 and then running a fact check on that. Is that statement true, Hannah? 2 + 2 = 4.
I think so.
Yeah. But it's so simple. I don't know. Hauswirth, you ever watch South Park?
I have not. I have not.
I could have told you the answer to that question.
I have not. I've heard of it, though. So.
It's like Mr. Mac. He's been on the air for 25 years.
Wow.
Now, this is the 25th year that South Park has been on the air. I don't watch it anymore. It can be politically smart sometimes, but it's just not funny anymore. But it's like Mr. Mackey, the counselor on South Park, with his simplistic explanation of things.
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. Okay, that about wraps up my introduction. Now, are there any questions?
That's what Kamala Harris said. Here's what happened. Ukraine invaded by a bigger country, Russia, and that's bad. Any questions? She's taken the South Park explanation for what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, and she's distilling it down for us. But she's factually accurate.
I was going to say, was that a radio interview? Because the audio, it almost sounds like maybe a phone, or I was a little unclear on that.
Yeah, I think she was on the phone, apparently talking to somebody about what's happening there. Meanwhile, so if you've driven by the Capitol over the past couple of nights, you see it's lit up in blue and as yellow as it can be to honor Ukraine. And we do have some things. And by the way, we are going to get to some things. I think 7:10 this morning, more in depth. Brian Hauswirth is going to be running down some of the things that are happening in Jefferson City, because we've had an uber focus right now on what's happening in Ukraine in our CMN Radiothon. So we'll get into some of what's happening, things that eventually are going to be affecting us here in mid-Missouri, some things that are happening in Jefferson City. Meanwhile, there are several conversations in the Capitol as it relates to Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, there's a bill, and you heard John Marsh kind of profile this a little bit, and it's kind of two parts of this. Number one, it's more of the lieutenant governor. From his angle is the Buy Missouri advocate, Branden, and then you've got the Dean Plocher bill, which is a little more complicated, but really in a nutshell, what they are focusing on is human rights and basically saying Missouri stands with Ukraine. Essentially, the Buy Missouri advocate, Kehoe's a little easier to explain. I mean, in a nutshell, he is asking stores voluntarily take a Russian, any vodka, for instance, but any type of product they have on their shelves, take them off and sell as many Missouri products as you can. Kehoe, a longtime advocate of that. The bill with Plocher has more to do with if there is a company that has a state contract that also is involved with Russia. It's a little more complicated like that. That was just filed, and we'll talk more about that at the bottom of the hour. But really, that is it in a nutshell. And we'll see. To file a bit, and the bill was filed, recently, the last couple of days. Any type of bill at this time of the year is tough, but the fact that it's so high profile, it could be fast tracked. So this one probably does have a chance.
And I get a kick out of it, and I get it. A lot of it is symbolic with what's happening, but people throwing out their Russian vodka. By the way, I've gotten rid of all my Russian vodka. There's no Russian vodka in my house.
Probably a good idea for you.
There's no American vodka, and there's no Scandinavian vodka in my house either. But these people are pouring this stuff out, which is great. I understand that. But, you already paid for it. You already gave them your money. We all understand that, right? Meanwhile, in town yesterday, Mark Haim, who has some kind of stores like Food Not Bombs or something. His name is Mark Haim. He's the guy you'll see, I think, every Wednesday. I mean, in the years that I have lived here in mid-Missouri, every Wednesday, him and his group of people, they hang out at Providence in Broadway. They're right at the edge of downtown, and they hold up signs, Peace, Not War. You see him every Wednesday afternoon.
Peace Nook, too, I think he's been.
Peace Nook, that's it.
Yes, I've talked to him before, yes.
I talked to him, too. So we used to do we do the big food drive for the Central Missouri Food Bank every year, and we used to do it right at the corner there at Broadway in Providence, and we were doing on a Wednesday one year. here, and they were there protesting while we're there. I don't know if they're protesting, rallying. I don't know. They get there and they hold up signs. So I went over and I talked to him one day, and I took my recorder, and I'm like, I'm fascinated because I was new in town.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you guys do? And we got into this great discussion about Trump, and he fundamentally had a lot of facts wrong, but he was one of those, he's just, well, it's Trump, rah, rah, rah. But if you're seeing that, if you saw it in downtown, that's who those folks are. So coming up this morning, Fox News is going to keep us abreast. It still just continues to look bad in Ukraine. Meanwhile, we are excited for Mizzou women's basketball today.
Well, it's the SEC tournament, and obviously they've had some ups and downs. The weather has impacted them a little bit in terms of, a couple of these games, and I'm not even sure we had to move some games around. Times got changed, etc. You hope for good weather, and I think they're going to have that today, obviously, as far as fans getting there. But Bridgestone Arena, beautiful arena in Nashville. They play at noon. Arkansas is the opponent. It's the SEC tournament. Essentially, in a tournament like this, it's one and done, and then you hope, and I think they're in pretty good shape afterwards for the NCAA. You go as far as you can, though, and you hope you win it all, but they're the 9 seed. They play the 8 seed. Very early tip. Rare to have them play a day game like that, but they tip at noon, so Brad T will be on the air pregame 11:45 KTGR.
And I hope they do well. Even if you have only and I have a casual interest in basketball. I really get into women's basketball because of Brad Trinaga. I would do it to support him. And I'll say, even though I'm going to the men's game Saturday, I get to take my sister and my nephews to the Mizzou men's basketball game. I have a casual interest in of the big four: football, hockey, baseball. Basketball is my least favorite. To me, it's like watching tennis. They go down this side and score, and then they go down this side and score. And the last 2 minutes of a basketball game lasts 3.5 hours. I'm not interested, but I understand a lot of people are fascinated by it. But I like the style of women's. I really do. I'm being serious. Women's basketball compared to men's basketball. It's kind of more strategic.
It's more disciplined. I feel like sometimes with men's basketball, it can turn showboaty. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen with women's basketball as well, but I feel like overall, women's basketball is more disciplined.
It sounds awfully sexist, Hannah.
I know it does. And I understand I'm probably biased.
And you played basketball, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. So how would you compare women's basketball to men's basketball? More disciplined. The word it's just more strategic is the way I see it. And I know very little about basketball, by the way. But it just seems you plot in strategic, where dudes basketball.
It can also be like more cutthroat. I feel like girls can sometimes be more aggressive and, I don't know, play a little dirtier.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, and I can't remember if it was a lawsuit, but Zimmer Radio Group was involved in some national headlines because of Mizzou and Mizzou women's and the South Carolina's basketball team, because they were all fighting. So that was pretty interesting situation. So Mizzou women's basketball, SEC tournament, but I like when they do well, and even the men's team. I hope they do something. Maybe we're on the verge of watching some of the last few games of Coach Conzo Martin. I hate to see him go too, and I'm not saying he is going. He's a great dude. I followed him. So I grew up in St. Louis. Conzo was playing ball in East St. Louis. My first job in radio was, and I am being, mostly figurative here, my first job in radio was in a cornfield in Indiana. Conzo Martin, about the same time, he and I moved to Indiana, and he played ball at Purdue. So I followed him, have had numerous opportunities over the years to sit and visit with him. Just a really good guy, and he is all about the young men that he brings into the program. And I want to say this: it's easy to dump on somebody when things aren't going well. But I look back to when he came here several years ago. Remember, it was the Porter brothers; they were coming, he was coming. He was going to kind of be the saving grace for Mizzou men's basketball. Porter kid gets injured, and things just never really materialize. So hopefully, I just like when the teams do well, even though I'm not a big fan of basketball. SEC women's basketball, Mizzou Tigers, if the women do well today, gives us something to cheer about and follow for a little bit. And Lord knows we need it for a while. Incidentally, transgender sports, another one of the topics being covered in Jefferson City. And I get so frustrated with this. Listen, And it's nothing against, you think you're a dude, you're a chick who thinks you're a dude who thinks you're a chick. That's on you. I get frustrated when people say, oh, well, you're anti-trans, you're anti-human being. No, listen, because we want dudes to play in dude sports, we want the chicks to play in the chick sports, that doesn't mean we're anti-trans. It means we, us smart people, are about fairness. That's all. And ask yourself this. All these national headlines, the swimmer back east, the dude who now thinks he's a chick and just cleaning up and winning all the competitions because men are physically superior to women. How many women do we see wanting to identify as a dude to play in dude sports? Yeah, none. There's no benefit. But you look at the dudes wanting to play chick sports because there they can dominate. Apparently, they're not very good playing in their own gender. Well, if I can't do well here, I'm going to claim that I'm a chick and I'm going to play with the chicks. You don't see it the other way around. Coming up in the Daily DC Rundown, I want to clarify something because I know this is going to be big today. It has to do with our
Branden, Rathert, and Wake Up Columbia. Drinking upstream from the herd. 93.9 The Eagle.
Judge Jackson?
Yes.
This is Joe Biden. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you, Mr. President?
Well, you're going to be more wonderful. I'd like you to go to the Supreme Court. How about that?
Sir, I would be so honored.
Phone call between Biden and Ketanji Brown Jackson, SCOTUS nominee. That gets us into today's daily D.C. rundown on 93.9 The Eagle. Brown Jackson began courting senators on Capitol Hill, making her case for confirmation in private meetings as Dems working to move her through the Senate within weeks. Now, Senate Democrats are concerned, obviously, about that 50-50 majority. Vice President Kamala breaks the, besides deftly explaining things like what's happening in Ukraine.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe.
She also, besides doing that, she is the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. This is probably going to get a lot of traction today, and here's how you handle this. A big story is that I'm seeing the headlines everywhere this morning. Trump and his associates probably more involved in January 6th than we thought. Listen, the whole thing is BS. Nobody's denying what happened January 6th. The confusion and the misunderstanding among idiots is that, well, Trump was responsible for this. No, he wasn't responsible for what those people did. You go out and do something stupid, I'm not responsible for what you do. I do something stupid, Hannah's not responsible for what I do unless it's politically convenient for me.
Right.
Then I'll blame Hannah. But anyhow, so this House panel, obviously made up of a bunch of anti-Trumpers, they're saying now, well, we have evidence that he was involved. So I just want to be very clear if this comes up with your friends, co-workers today, whatever. You just tell them, yeah, they're saying they have evidence. And again, you can go back to, so Trump made those people get out and do what they did. He simply had nothing to do with it. But that's, again, go back to the mindset. Everybody else is responsible. I'm not responsible for my own stuff. That's how they do. So transgender sports, big topic in Jefferson City. We're going to be covering that. As a matter of fact, Congressman Billy Long, he is going to be joining us here at 6:35. Of course, he is running for Senate 2022 and might have some leftovers regarding his thoughts on the State of the Union the other night.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Russia's foreign minister says they're ready for more talks to stop the fighting in Ukraine. The mayor of the southern city of Kherson says Russian troops have taken control there.
He says that those Russian troops have gone into City Hall. He met with them, he says, and he says that he asked them to not kill civilians. And grimly, he added that he has asked for time to gather bodies from the streets.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt. The House committee investigating the Capitol riot last January says there's evidence that then-President Trump and associates were part of a criminal conspiracy to overturn election results.
They were responding in a court filing to a lawsuit by one of former President Trump's attorneys who's trying to protect some documents from the investigation. The committee can't bring criminal charges on their own, but they can make a referral to the Justice Department.
Fox's Jill Nato. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31. We do have clear skies right now. 39 our current temperature. Our sunrise this morning, 6:39. A high today of about 56. Sunny conditions. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Clear skies tonight, low near 35. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 67 degrees. Again, 6:39 will be our sunrise here in 8 minutes. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. 2 deadly crashes in our listening area yesterday evening. One involves a Hauswirth teen who was killed in a crash. She was an occupant in a vehicle that traveled off the road. She is an 18-year-old from Hauswirth, pronounced dead at the scene. We'll have details on that for you coming up at 7:03. And an 8-year-old boy from St. Louis is dead following a deadly crash last night on Highway 54 in Callaway County. State troopers say the child was in a vehicle that had stopped in the right lane of Highway 54 near Route AA. Another vehicle struck that car in the rear. The child pronounced dead at a Jefferson City hospital at Capital Region. No name being released because the child is a juvenile. We're told he was 8 years old from the St. Louis area. Missouri's governor, meantime, will be here in Columbia at 10 o'clock this morning to help cut the ribbon on a new lab at the MACC campus on the Business Loop. Governor Parson will also help cut the ribbon on the new Mechatronics Center of Excellence at the same Parkade Center location. The expanded program at Moberly Area Community College's Columbia campus prepares students to be technicians to troubleshoot and maintain equipment for 21st century manufacturing facilities. Columbia City Manager says the Business Loop is scheduled to receive major road work and repairs next year. City Manager DeCarlin Seawood says the improvements will also help pedestrians.
It's ticketed to be funded in 2023 for a complete overhaul of the roadway. There's plans that the CID has on making some additional improvements.
You can hear the full Wake Up Columbia interview with Mr. Seawood on our website. It's 939theeagle.com. And Missouri's governor says the State House Dome in Jefferson City is lit blue and yellow in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Governor Parson has ordered the dome to shine blue and yellow through sunrise tomorrow as Ukrainians defend their nation against the Russian invasion. Blue and yellow are the colors of the Ukrainian national flag. We'll also talk more about what's happening in Russia. Congressman Billy Long will be joining us here in a little bit on Wake Up Columbia. Our news is brought to you this morning by Mid-America Mortgage. You can check them out online, midamericamortgage.us, and apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:34. In sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team is playing today, early day game, if you will, at noon against Arkansas in the SEC tournament. Mizzou going in as the 9 seed. Hogs from Fayetteville coming in at number 8. Bridgestone Arena in Nashville today. Mizzou 18-11. The Hogs coming in with a record of 17-12. You can hear all the action on our Central Bank Tiger Radio Network Zimmer affiliate, KTGR, here in Columbia, FM 100.5. All of the action, Brad Trinago and Kathy on the call. Pre-game coverage at 11:45 this morning. Again, this is the SEC tournament, and Mizzou playing in an early game today. They start at noon. Our sports also brought to you by Mid-America Mortgage. They're online, midamericamortgage.us. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:35. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet in mid-Missouri this morning. We had 2 just awful accidents, horrific accidents that involved fatalities last night. We talked about the young man, the 8-year-old boy from the St. Louis area killed last night on Highway 54 in Callaway County. We also had a Hauswirth teen killed in a crash. We'll have more details on that one coming up at 7:03 this morning. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
It's doing mental harm to those who are biological females who have worked some a lifetime to develop skills and excel in their sports, and now they're faced with participating against males.
State Senator Mike Moon talking to our news partners at ABC 17. And here's the thing I don't understand, and the Senator Moon is correct there. The state senator is correct, because well, you're being mean to transgenders by not letting them switch to the sport they want to switch to. Which, by the way, how often do you hear of a chick wanting to claim that she's a dude and playing dude sports? It's not happening. It's dudes who apparently aren't very good in their own gender sport, so they claim to be a chick and join female teams. You don't hear it the other way around. And if you're against that, you're inhumane and you're cruel. And these people don't understand, what about the fairness of that? You're pushing a political agenda. But what about these young ladies? You know, they're wanting to play and compete. And here comes a physically superior male comes along. And I just don't understand it. Congressman Billy Long, 2022 U.S. Senate candidate, joining us. Billy, I don't get this. What am I missing? Why are people like me being called? Yeah, why are people calling me inhumane because I'm against people that identify as a certain gender playing sports? It's unfair to other people. Why am I the prick here?
Well, I heard your analysis earlier, and you're talking about basketball and soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And what's to keep them from playing basketball and soccer if they can swim? Because are they going to be able to play? Men going to be able to play on all the women's basketball teams next year? Mm-hmm. Disallowing any of the girls to play?
Yeah, I just don't get it. And then we get tabbed as being insensitive, and we don't understand. And I would say the exact opposite. No, see, you don't understand. So if
it's absolutely crazy, as you know. There's no other way to describe it. To let men swim against women and let them run track against them. Let them, if they're going to play basketball, I'm sure next year all the women's teams will have all men thinking that. Thinking that they're women playing basketball.
Yeah, it just blows me away. Congressman Billy Long, Rep. Southwest Missouri, running for Senate 2022, joining us in the show. What's happening in D.C. this morning as we get the day started? It's about 7:40 almost in Washington, D.C. What's on the horizon in Washington, D.C. this morning, sir?
Of course, it's all Ukraine all the time, and the atrocities that are being committed. We have a Victoria Sparks is her name, born in Ukraine, educated in Ukraine. Her 95-year-old grandmother still lives in Ukraine. She's Congresswoman from Indiana, and she said that her 95-year-old grandmother said that she lived through Stalin's march on Ukraine, Hitler's march on Ukraine. She's never seen the atrocities that she's seen now with Putin's march on Ukraine. And you're not going to be able to stop this thing with Molotov cocktails. The Ukrainian people have been, violent and trying to push back against Putin. It hadn't gone as well as Putin thinks. But when you have the Russian army, it's just going to be a matter of time and who knows what the end game is. Who knows what he wants to do. And he'll just go into the next country, the next country, the next country if he's allowed to get away with this. And it looks like he is going to be allowed to get away with it. I was in Ukraine in 2014 in Kiev, right when it was heating up the first time, and we were in a restaurant and they had a wine listed on the menu that said from the temporarily occupied region of Crimea, and I knew right then and there that it was not temporary. And Putin he wants to redraw all of these lines and put back Mother Russia.
Let me ask you this, Congressman, because and I could be, I fly off the handle sometimes, but I would be of the school of thought. Why don't we just go in there and bomb the heck out of Putin? And I know when I think about it, okay, it's ultimately not the right thing, but what in your mind, can we be taking, because I get conflicted, how much should we be in other people's business? But if we are, then let's be involved. What would you be doing? What do you think we can do differently as a nation, as people, as Americans to support the democracy of Ukraine?
Well, it's not, what I was trying to think of, but no, they're not in NATO, so the NATO countries are not want to go in and defend them, but it's a humanitarian slaughter over there, and we need to do everything that we possibly can from getting them arms. We tried to do that earlier, and Biden, of course, delayed that. When we were over there, we had given them a bunch of arms. This is back in 2014, and we went as far east in the country as we could where it was heating up. And they said, no, you go past here and it's too dangerous. So we just need to do everything we possibly can to get them all the equipment that they, can use. But he's hitting civilian targets now, hitting apartment buildings, hitting everything. And the guy's a madman. And the best thing that could happen is his inner circle turn on him. And you don't know what to believe, of course, Branden, in the fog of war. That you see these reports coming out that captured Russian soldiers, they're having them FaceTime with their mamas back in Russia, and they're saying, we thought we would be welcomed here. We thought we were coming for exercises, not to fight. But you don't know if those are legitimate, if they're true or not. So during the fog of war, it's very, very difficult. But just the fact that a 95-year-old Ukrainian woman went through Stalin and went through Hitler and says that Putin is the worst. But of course they're worried about, with his nuke starting a nuclear war, worried about China backing him if the two of them teamed up in a nuclear war situation or something. So I don't want to alarm people. They claim it's not going to nuclear war, but hey, what's to stop it if you got a madman?
I want to highlight some audio here. KOMU Channel 8. Now, it may be a little difficult to understand, especially through the phone, but this is a woman by the name of Maria Wade. She was born and raised in Ukraine, Odessa, Ukraine, to be exact. She has lived in Jefferson City for the past 5 years. And this, to an extent, this made my heart melt when I heard this, and is what she is saying here. She says, this isn't necessarily a war about politics and Putin and all this, but it's about democracy and freedom, which we enjoy here at home.
It is not. It is the battle for freedom. It is the fight for the same important things that Americans always stand for.
It's the fight for the same important things that we as a country stand for. This is a woman in Jefferson City. Congressman, that just made my heart melt. Congressman Billy Long joining us here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
Branden, thanks, Congressman. Thanks so much for joining us. I know that you were obviously paying close attention to the President's State of the Union address. A quick question on that and a very quick question on the election coming up as well. But on the State of the Union, your reaction to the President's speech, sir?
Well, I kind of summed it up by saying, here's what I've screwed up lately, and this is how I plan to fix it. All of the problems that he ticked off in that State of the Union are things that he brought to bear. So it was just, he had a chance to reset. We need to sanction Russian oil. We don't need to be buying Russian oil and supporting this war. That's the first thing. When Branden asked me a minute ago, that's the first thing we can do is quit buying their oil and start drilling again in this country, start fracking more again. And we were energy independent on January 19, 2021. I'm on the Energy and Commerce Committee. I was on the subcommittee of energy on the Energy and Commerce Committee. And we passed our ability to sell LNG, liquefied natural gas. It had never been, they had that where we couldn't export LNG. And we got that passed in a bipartisan fashion. Of course, all that's been changed now. So we need to produce oil, gas in this country, and we can do it a lot cleaner than these other countries. And we're buying billions of dollars worth of oil from Vladimir Putin every day. The first thing Biden did when he got into office was to stop Keystone XL pipeline, and then a few months later, he allowed Nord Stream 2, the natural gas pipeline in Russia, to go forward. You couldn't make this stuff up. If you made a B movie out of it, nobody'd go because it's too outlandish.
And very quickly, I know we're several months away. Obviously, you got the primary first, and you're running, obviously, for the United States Senate. But if we were to have the election held today, the November election, what do you think would happen both in the U.S. House and the Senate if the election were held today? And I know it's early.
If it was held today, we would win. We're going to win. It's going to be a red tsunami in the House. We are going to take the House back in big numbers. So that's a given. That's a lay down. There's no question about that. The Senate, of course, is, a lot of different moving parts on that. So if it was held today in the Senate, I would like to think that we could get the right people on the ballot that aren't going to have trouble fighting against the Democrats and be able to pick up the Senate and get rid of fire Chuck Schumer, fire Nancy Pelosi. That's my 2 bits of advice for the country.
Thank you, Congressman.
Anything else you would like to add before we let you go?
No, just, BillyLong.com. They can go to my website and help me out on my campaign. This election season is heating up, And we are really, really on the trail the next couple of weeks with all the Lincoln Days and everything, hitting several this Saturday. We have 3 Lincoln Days. We're going to be hitting Lincoln Day, Lincoln Day, Lincoln Day. So folks are going to be seeing me around the state. Look forward to seeing everybody out there and come up and visit. And I've got the most conservative voting record by far of anyone. Go to the American Conservative Union ratings, which is the number one tracking device that they use to vote to check your votes. And Club for Growth, I'm way ahead of anybody else in this race for Club for Growth, and I see you both. And, other candidates that have a lot of money can buy ads and say, oh, they're conservative. They're, hang on just a minute. You better go in there and get that started. You got 10 minutes. I'm just pulled in the garage here, and I'm getting ready to do a TV hit in Chicago, get around the office, get the computer on. I told him, I said, get on up there, get that thing going.
Nice.
But,
I love it. No, it's great, man. I didn't mean to interrupt your day. I'm just appreciative you take our phone call.
No, that's fine. But just like I said, they can go to billylong.com if they want to volunteer for my campaign. They can call 417-88-FED-UP because I'm fed up and I'm not having it. And I'm in this thing to win it. And I think that I'm the guy that will not have trouble in November. The Democrats wouldn't put up a lot of money against me. If we get Eric Greitens in there as our nominee, we're going to have to spend $40 to $50 million trying to drag him over the finish line. We can spend that money in Arizona to pick up that seat we should have never lost, and spend it down in Georgia trying to pick up that seat we should have never lost. All 3 are on the ballot this time, which is unusual because the other 2 were on just 2 years ago.
All right, go do your TV hit, Congressman Billy Long, Senate candidate 2022. Thanks for your time, sir.
We'll see you on the campaign trail.
And we'll see you here Friday, April 6th or 5th for the Boone County Lincoln Days. I think Friday, April 5th. No? 9th?
The 8th.
The 8th? It's a Friday in April.
Always certain. Sometimes right. This is Branden, Rathert, and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
Once they start going through puberty, may experience something called a wet dream. If you have a dream that contains sexual images or content, it may cause you to experience an erection.
Is it a little uncomfortable to listen to on the radio? Imagine what it might be like. And listen, I'm fine with sex education being taught in schools. I don't have kids in schools. I know we handled it with our own son when he was a kid. But I'll tell you, it was at an event last night with Mayor Randy Minshew and a couple of school board candidates, Adam Burks, Randy Minshew. And I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding, especially from people that don't have kids. Well, you're worried about kids being taught sex education? No, here's what they're upset about. They're upset about the confusion with opt-out options and some of the language that's in the videos that's being shown in classrooms. Matter of fact, I want to highlight some more of this coming up at 7:35. And listen, man, I'm a pretty cool dude. I'm pretty chill. I am pretty easygoing. I'm like, yeah, whatever. To a fault, almost, sometimes. To a point where I get looks from people here on the show like, Branden, did you just say that? I'm like, yeah, but that's, I'm chill with that. But some of the stuff in the schools, and again, I don't know. I don't have a kid in school right now. What I know is from when my kid 20 years ago when he was dealing with this stuff. Here's some of the stuff that's taking place in classrooms like third grade and fourth grade. We'll do that coming up 7:35 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. Governor Mike Parsons going to be in town today. Brian Hauswirth has details on what he's doing there. Congressman Billy Long was on the show. He is running for Senate, and he was talking about alluding to some other candidates in the race and then specifically naming one candidate in that Senate race by name, and that was Eric Greitens. Latest polling, this from the Trafalgar Group. Now, there's been several polls that have come out over the past several months, almost, 6 months at this point. And I will say this again for what polls are worth. In Congressman Billy Long's words, he said, listen, if Eric Greitens wins this primary, the money that the party is going to have to spend and trying to prop this guy up because there is very little, and I get it. A lot of folks that like Greitens think he should be the nominee. Bigger picture. A less likely opportunity of winning a general election, and that's not that's not a dismissive comment. That's a real comment. But here's latest polling. This from the Trafalgar Group. About 1,000 people polled. Error of margin about 3 points. This was done over a period of 3 days last week. Hartzler and Schmidt are in the top three. Number one with about an 8-point lead, Eric Greitens. Latest polling. And I will say this, too. Last several polls, looking at polls from Real Clear Politics, polls from the Trafalgar Group, the Missouri Scout. Eric Greitens has consistently led these polls. As a matter of fact, compared to a poll 1 month prior, now two different polls, but 1 month prior, there was a poll that had him up 5 points. 1 month later, this polling from the Trafalgar Group shows that he's up 8 points. Coming up on the show this morning, Hannah, you want to talk some trash this morning?
Oh, no.
I know. Man, trash show. We've been a year into this pay-as-you-go system in Columbia. How's that working? Some numbers from our news partners at ABC 17. That's coming up here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live.
Russia claims it wants to talk. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but it's not letting up.
More Ukrainian territory turning red as Russia moves forward.
Despite another round of possible peace talks, several cities being bombarded, Russia's taking control of Kherson in the south.
The Russian forces are moving via the Black Sea towards the critical port of Odessa, and it would appear that the Russian aim here is to create this land bridge across the south and then press forward to Kyiv.
Fox's Jonathan Hunson, Lviv. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says they'll keep fighting, telling Russian soldiers go home. And the UN reports more than 1 million of his citizens have fled Ukraine as refugees.
This, as Fox News can confirm, there was a bit of coordination between Russia and China regarding the timing of the invasion. Apparently, Russian President Putin assuring Chinese President Xi they would not launch the attack until after the Beijing Winter Olympics Games.
Fox's Greg Palcott. The Paralympics start tomorrow, and the committee has just banned athletes from Russia and ally Belarus from competing. Another accused Capitol rioters pleaded guilty. Joshua James from Alabama is the first to admit to a seditious conspiracy aimed at preventing the transfer of power. As Democrats go further in their Trump accusations, Fox's Evan Brown following this live.
Yeah, Dave, the Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol now says former President Donald Trump and his associates criminally conspired to stop the certification of the 2020 presidential election. They make that claim in filings with a federal court in California, responding to a lawsuit filed against the committee by former Trump advisor John Eastman. The filing isn't a charging document. Only the Justice Department can do that, and that means the former president isn't officially accused of criminal activity, Dave.
And Eben, he has called it part of the Democrat witch hunt, and Republicans have dismissed that committee's work as political. America's listening to Fox News.
After 9/11, Saul Martinez couldn't wait to enlist. In Iraq, his vehicle was hit by a projectile improvised explosive device. Saul survived, but he lost both legs, suffered a traumatic brain injury, and lost 2 close friends. Saul now lives in a smart home from the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which gave him back his independence despite his severe physical challenges. Help heroes like Saul. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historic low rates may be a great reason to refinance, but when matched with an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot, you could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year Smart Term loan or our 10-year ARM loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit LoanDepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Bright sunshine here on this beautiful Thursday morning. It's a little chillier than it was the last couple of days. This is jacket weather for sure. 38 right now in Columbia. Our sunrise this morning at 6:39. We're expecting a high today into the mid-50s, which is normally where we're at this time of the year. Tomorrow a little bit warmer with temperatures in the 60s and then a chance of rain coming up on Saturday. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. A Hauswirth teen has been killed in a crash. It happened on Highway 124 in Boone County yesterday afternoon. Missouri State Troopers say 18-year-old Molly Jones was a passenger in a vehicle that was westbound on 124. Troopers say the vehicle traveled off the road, struck a culvert, and overturned. The patrol says the 18-year-old Jones, who was not wearing a seatbelt, was pronounced dead at the scene. The vehicle's driver, a 17-year-old juvenile from New Franklin, sustained moderate injuries. He's been taken to University Hospital here in Columbia. An accident happening about at 5:20 yesterday afternoon. Meantime, a child from St. Louis dead after a horrific crash. This one happened last night. Highway 54 in Callaway County. State troopers say the 8-year-old boy was pronounced dead at Capital Region Medical Center in Jefferson City. Troopers say that crash happened as a vehicle driven by a Jefferson City woman stopped in the right lane of 54 near the the AAOO exit that is in the Fulton area. A second vehicle driven by 40-year-old Elizabeth Miller of Fulton struck the rear of the first car. That caused Miller's vehicle to overturn. The 8-year-old was a passenger in the vehicle that had stopped. 3 others in that vehicle suffered moderate injuries. Elizabeth Miller of Fulton life-flighted to University Hospital in Columbia with serious injuries. Missouri's governor will be joining business leaders and education leaders at a ribbon-cutting ceremony this morning in less than 3 hours. He'll be highlighting a new lab and also talking about the labor shortage in job skills.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson will be in Columbia this morning to help cut the ribbon on the new MACC lab, which is located at Parkade Center. The lab has numerous state-of-the-art tools and equipment, and the aim is to develop skills and to encourage entrepreneurship. Moberly Area Community College President Jeff Lashley and Columbia Chamber of Commerce leaders will join the governor at the ceremony, which begins at 10 o'clock. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Missouri's governor says the State House Dome in Jefferson City remains lit this morning, blue and yellow, in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Governor Parson has ordered the dome to shine blue and yellow through sunrise tomorrow as Ukrainians defend their nation against the Russian invasion. Blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian national flag. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe asking all Missouri retailers right now to consider at this point voluntarily removing Russian-made or Russian-branded products from store shelves. Lieutenant Governor Kehoe of Jefferson City says it is part of a Missouri Stands with Ukraine initiative unveiled Wednesday at the State House. Kehoe, the state's Buy Missouri advocate, says it's more important now than ever to purchase locally. He was joined by the House Majority Floor Leader Dean Plocher, who is from Des Peres. Dean Plocher focusing on the issue of human rights. His quote is this, quote, "Missouri is open for business to those who value democracy, human rights, free enterprise, and self-determination." We'll talk more about the Plocher proposal here. It's a little different than the Kehoe one coming up at the bottom of the hour. And Missouri's retiring senator says the debates that take place daily in the Missouri House Chamber in Jefferson City closely resemble debates on Capitol Hill. GOP Senator Roy Blunt made his comments during a recent address to the Missouri House of Representatives.
The discussion you have every day has probably more of a resemblance to the national debate than any other legislative body except the national body. I think our state is that reflective of what the country's all about.
Senator Roy Blunt then went out and shook hands with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. He thanked all of them for their service and their willingness to serve, Republican and Democrat. He notes there are major differences between North Missouri, Southwest Missouri, and the Boot Heel, as well as the state's largest cities. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory. It's in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and any day. You can find them online, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. Turning our attention now to sports. The Mizzou women's basketball team is playing a day game today at noon against the Arkansas Razorbacks in the SEC tournament. Mizzou is the number 9 seed. They'll take on the 8 seed Arkansas Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. Haven't been there, but from the looks of it from the outside, it looks to be huge, beautiful facility for sure. Mizzou is 18 and 11. The Hogs 17 and 12. Central Bank Tiger Network Zimmer affiliate KTGR will have all your coverage. FM 100.5 if you'd like to listen to the game, and you can catch Brad Trinago and Kathy on the call. Their pregame begins at 11:45 this morning. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. Kevin, thank you as always. Great work. We have bright sunshine right now, 39 in Columbia. And our traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Midmohires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. It is 7:09. Quiet this morning. If you do want to report a traffic issue, you can call or text us anytime. 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes, and we have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
That's bad.
Wow, I feel so much more educated about global affairs.
That's our vice president, which I wouldn't doubt in the next couple of years if something happens to Biden, that person's going to be the president.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Guess who would be vice president in that scenario?
Oh, God. That's why I hesitate. Sometimes I listen. I like Joe's policies, and we can see what's happened since January 20th, 2021. I mean, you can look at a chronological chart of things that have gone wrong, and you can talk to people that voted for Joe Biden. You can talk to people that support Joe Biden, and you can ask them simple questions like, "Do you like paying more for gasoline? Do you like paying more for all this? Do you like that?" And if they're being honest with you, and especially themselves, the answers are going to be no. I'm sure they're going to realize this was, the whole thing has just been bad for us as a country. And for me, and it's been bad for you, I'm guessing. And I think one of the ways we can message that is ask people these questions. Like, how do you feel about that stuff? Now, how do you feel about paying more for groceries? How do you feel about all of this stuff? And if they're being honest with themselves, they'll tell you it's not good. And we don't have to say, well, we told you so. We don't have to say that. We can just ask the questions and let them answer. Meanwhile, Ukraine, it's a topic of discussion in Jefferson City.
It really is. There are a couple of different proposals. I'll talk more at the bottom of the hour about, I call it the Plocker proposal, and then in Kehoe. And one is more, obviously, Mike Kehoe is a lieutenant governor, so he can't really propose a bill. But what he has proposed is just basically he's asking companies and grocery stores, retailers to voluntarily take Russian material, Russian vodka, things like that, off the shelves and replace that with Missouri. And of course, he is the Buy Missouri advocate, so that's something that he has been pushing already. But obviously, he wants them to voluntarily remove that, and then he's obviously upset about what's happening in Russia. Dean Plocker, Branden, who is the House Majority Leader, he'll be the Speaker of the House next year. He's from Des Peres. His bill, basically, it's 2913. In a sentence, it basically would suspend any Missouri business activities that are, if a company has a contract with the state and they're doing business over in Russia, they could lose their contract. And that's really it in a nutshell. And what he's saying is that Missouri is open to business for those who value democracy and human rights. And, normally a bill gets filed this time of the year. We're pretty late because we're just a couple weeks from spring break. But when you have the lieutenant governor and the speaker-to-be saying they want something, tend to think it's got a good chance to pass.
So that's some of the things. And by the way, there's a distillery in Jefferson City. They want to be very clear about the vodka they make. Listen, is not Russian vodka. And I want to going back to Kamala's comments regarding here's what's happening on the worldwide stage.
I was at the State Department.
Excuse me, that's Jen Suck. You want to get to that later. See, and here I am. I'm the guy that's constantly making fun of Joe, and I make mistakes all the time. Who am I? So going back to Kamala's comments.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
As a matter of fact, Allison text 874-9390. She says, I thought I was listening to an elementary teacher explain to her second grade class until you said who it was.
Do we know the context of this? Like, was she explaining it to kids?
No, she was in an interview with an adult on the phone, and somebody said, so explain. It's like we had Congressman Billy Long on about half an hour ago. Yeah, hey, explain. Well, here's what's going, man. It's fuel. We had a local gal, and I love this. I love what this person had to say. Telling KOMU 8 the other day. This is somebody who lives in Jefferson City. She was born and raised in Ukraine, Odessa, to be exact. I love, and I hope you will hear this, and I hope you take this into work with you this morning. Say, I was listening to Hannah and Brian and Branden on Wake Up Columbia this morning on 93.9 The Eagle. By the way, Stephanie has the day off, and they were talking about this woman from Jefferson City and what she had to say. Maybe kind of hard to understand, but she says, it's not necessarily a war about guns and borders and all of this. Check out what she has to say.
It is not. It is the battle for freedom. It is the fight for the same important things that Americans always stand for.
The fight for Ukrainians. It's what we fought for well over 200 years ago. It's what we continue to fight for today. That is powerful. It's fighting for democracy. 874-9390, 874-9390. So we were going to get into talking about trash locally. So we're a year into this pay-as-you-go system. We still don't have roll carts, and every time we bring this up, man, we set town on fire. There is and we were going to talk about this. This is serendipitous. Text. Traffic issue. Columbia trash truck traveling down WW west of Columbia is dragging a trash bag and spewing trash everywhere.
Wow.
You're punking us, right?
No, it's off the text. And I've asked them to call in and said, sorry, they can't call right now, but if you can, please text us your name. Because we were going to talk about trash right here and now that we're a year into this pay-as-you-throw system. And I've heard, and I'll be honest, because, I'm open-minded.
About the things you're open-minded about.
Giddy up, cowgirl. But I really have not heard any praise. I have not heard anybody say, this new 2 bags a week pay as you go. This is wonderful. I'm liking how this. I haven't heard anybody say that.
Now, keep in mind, Columbia has a lot of apartments, so the apartments are a little different because you're throwing into a dumpster, and a lot of a lot of our audience is not going to call in one way or the other because to a certain extent, this doesn't impact them, but it's a huge issue. There's no doubt. And you asked the question yesterday, Mr. Seawood, and he's optimistic things will get better. I'd also point out, Branden, that Molly Stawnoga at our news partner ABC 17 did a special last night. I think it was like 7-8 minutes. Because I looked at some of the video and I haven't had a chance to see the full package, but I saw her interview that was posted, and she had to spend weeks on this, but really what she said in a nutshell is that solid waste still has 15 vacancies among 28 positions on the crew, and then they've only had 8 workers' comp claims filed in the last fiscal year, smallest in a decade.
And the big goal was one of the big goals was staffing and resident satisfaction, in Molly's story in ABC 17. However, it's missed the mark when it comes to staffing and resident satisfaction. I want to try to get more into this at 7:35. Scotty, 874-9390, 874-9390. What can we do for you this morning, Scotty?
How y'all doing today?
Pretty good. What's up, bud?
Hey, about these prices and stuff, we had all the grand rats over at the house last night, decided we'd grill something, and what I normally bought for $30 or $40 cost me almost $80 last night.
Jeez.
Getting milk's over $5 a gallon in places now.
Yep.
My normal fuel consumption for my company per month averaged between $2,850 and $3,000. Last month I was over $6,800 and had less mileage for 1 month's fuel to run my trucks. Anybody that thinks he's doing something good, I'm just going to leave it at that because Mom always told me if you ain't got nothing nice to say, keep your mouth shut, so I got to be quiet. But if you think this is Build Back Better and we're doing big things, oh, my goodness, we're in trouble.
It's horrible. Scotty, I am so sorry. As a small local business owner, I am sorry that you are going through that. That's the thing that breaks my heart. Thank you for taking time out of your day to share. See, this is what we try to – This is a real thing. It's not the conservative talking point. It's real. This guy's a business guy. His fuel costs are skyrocketing. Think about if you're a small local business owner and you fuel costs, whether the large chunk of your business has to do with traveling, whatever it is, all of these things go up. And then guess what? These businesses, then they got to pass the cost along to you. And these are the things that we need to ask people and need to be polite about it, in my mind, with Scotty. These people, these undecideds and the liberals and the progressives, you say, see? Do you see how this is working? Do you see the real-life example of how this is hurting people? Do you see that? Everything that's happening since January 21st, 2021. You can draw point A to point B without fail. That is a fact that cannot be disputed. And I hope these are conversations that people that are kind of independent, what have you, middle of the road, aren't sure what they're doing, are people that supported Biden. And we don't have to be mean about it, because you know why? If we're mean about it and we argue, we lose the chance to make it an educational moment. This is a teachable moment for people that voted for Joe Biden. Do I sound like I'm being facetious and mean, Hannah? This is seriously though, because what I see, these people argue and Joe's an idiot, and I agree, he is, and I can't believe. Because we said this is what's going to happen, and it's happening, and now people, what happened? What happened? Well, what happened is you voted for Joe. People voted for Joe, and this is what happened. But I think if we're kinder in our discussions and ask questions instead of trying to win arguments, because that's what progressives are doing right now. They don't want to, and this is a human thing. People don't like to admit that they're wrong. I do it all the time. The more often I'm wrong, the more I have to admit I'm wrong, and the easier it gets. I get a lot of practice. People don't like to admit that they're wrong, and that's what's happening with these even independents, what have you, people that voted for Joe. It's like, hey, listen, this is what's happening. These are facts. 874-9390. Okay, text off the trash. Somebody says...
Text off the trash.
Trash off the text.
There you go.
See, and I'm the guy that's always poking fun at Joe because he mixes up his words, and I don't do any better. Apparently somewhere WW east of Columbia, there's a trash truck, and it's dragging a trash bag and it's spewing trash everywhere. Beth, what can we do for you?
Hey, I just thought I would report that as a service measure. I don't know how a truck driver can not see the cloud of papers, cups, and other debris spewing behind them down the road. Hopefully they've either emptied the bag by now or stopped and fixed whatever's wrong.
I hope so, and thank you for the PSA. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to be a part of Wake Up Columbia.
Because as we all know, elections matter. And when folks vote, they order what they want, and in this case, they got what they asked for.
Kamala's batting 2 for 2 today. She explained Russia, Ukraine, and she's right. People are getting what they asked for. What's hot with Hannah coming up 7:25-ish? What do you got?
What will people be nostalgic about in 40 years?
40 years from now.
You might not be here in 40 years, but I'm sorry.
A beautiful log home, 60-plus acres, and it's going to be part of an auction with Atterbury Auctions, Atterberry, Atterbury Auctions. This is and it's going to be online, which is really interesting. This is one of the new directions Atterbury Auctions is taking things. It's happening April 26th. online. There are more details on this. You can see the pictures of this spacious property. Man, you might even think you're on the Yellowstone Ranch, right, off the TV. But Atterbury Auctions, this is what they do, and I would encourage you. I have signed up for their newsletter. They have a newsletter, and I'm getting stuff daily like, hey, we have this coming up. Hey, we're doing this. So you get onto the website for Atterbury Auction, AtterburyAuction.com, and you can see the pictures of this specific property that I'm talking about that's right here in town. It's not some faraway place. It's not in the Lake of the Ozarks, although Atterbury Auction handles things for a lot of folks all across mid-Missouri because people love the work they do. This is right here in town, April 26th. Learn more about this, AtterburyAuction.com.
This is Woke Up Columbia. And not really. Just kidding. 93.9 The Eagle.
7:25-ish, which means it's...
Wow, it's 7:29.
Uh-oh, time for What's Hot with Hannah.
So I posted on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, what do you think people will be nostalgic about in 40 years?
Any good responses?
So Kevin just says 3 words. Lots of liquor. Our friend Shags from our sister station says that his morning show will be nostalgic And then he said, "No, I'm just kidding. I'll probably still be doing it."
Here's something that will upset folks.
Oh, boy. You're on a roll this morning.
And it's not my intent. Gasoline-powered vehicles.
Yeah, I could see that. Or iPhones.
iPhones. I bet 40 years from now, we'll be nostalgic about, hey, remember when we used to drive cars on roads? And now we all have flying cars that are powered by electricity? What? Coming up, we're going to trash in Colombia. This is blowing up on the text. That's coming up at 7:35.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The mayor of Kherson, Ukraine, says as many as 300 people may have been killed as Russian troops entered the city. More talks to end the fighting are expected today.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is defiant. He warned, wherever they go, they will be destroyed. The occupiers will receive only fierce resistance. Zelensky is claiming nearly 9,000 Russians have been killed in a week.
Fox's Simon Owen. A judge in Texas is blocking the state from investigating the parents of a transgender teenager. Ricardo Martinez with the political advocacy group Equality Texas.
That's a whole nother level of evil. Prioritizing attacking kids with loving families.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has directed state agencies to investigate transgender treatments for teens as child abuse. The girl's mother has been suspended from her job with the State Department of Family and Protective Services. America's listening to Fox News.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:31. We do have bright sunshine here in mid-Missouri. It's 39 degrees right now. Our high today will be in the mid-50s, which is what we normally are at this time of the year. A little bit warmer tomorrow, sunny with a high in the 60s, and then a chance of rain on Saturday. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you in this 7 o'clock hour. A Hallsville teenager has been killed in a crash. It happened yesterday evening on Highway 124 in Boone County. Missouri State Troopers say 18-year-old Molly Jones was a passenger in a vehicle westbound on 124. Troopers say the vehicle traveled off the road. It struck a culvert and then overturned. The patrol says Ms. Jones, who was not wearing a seatbelt, pronounced dead at the scene. The driver, a 17-year-old from New Franklin, sustained moderate injuries. His name is not being released by authorities because he is a juvenile. The accident happening about 5:20 yesterday afternoon. Meantime, a grant from the Mo Excels Workforce Initiative has helped to fund a new state-of-the-art lab and facility on Columbia's business loop. Governor Mike Parson will be here in Columbia this morning to help cut the ribbon on the new MACC lab. It's located at Parkade Center. There are numerous state-of-the-art tools and equipment in the lab. The aim is to encourage entrepreneurship and also to develop skills. Moberly Area Community College President Jeff Lashley will make the drive down from Moberly. Columbia Chamber of Commerce leaders will also join the governor at the ceremony. That will start at 10 o'clock this morning. Speaking of the business loop, our city manager in Columbia says you're going to see continued improvements along the business loop over the next 4 to 5 years. There's a lot of blight there. DeCarlin Seawood acknowledges that. He says, though, the business loop roadway is scheduled for a complete overhaul next year that will include pedestrian safety improvements as well.
The business loop, they do a really good job of trying to reach out to their partners, their property owners, to see what are some of the things they can do in order to help make some of those improvements.
You can hear the full Wake Up Columbia interview with Mr. Seawood on our website. It is 939theeagle.com. And Columbia's Airport Advisory Board received a close-up view of the $23 million new terminal being built at COU yesterday. The board touring the new terminal, which is set to open this summer. Mayor Brian Treese describes the new terminal as a generational investment that will put further destinations into play. The current terminal was built in 1968. Many presidents have come through that over the years. Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, just to name a few, that current terminal that is there. Our news is brought to you this hour by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. They practice conscious sedation dentistry to relax your fears. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. Turning our attention now to sports. The Mizzou women's basketball team will be playing today. It is a day game. They start at noon, our time, 1 o'clock Eastern time, against Arkansas in the SEC tournament. The game will be at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. Arkansas, the 8 seed. Mizzou is the 9 seed. Hogs 17 and 12. Mizzou 18 and 11. Catch all the action. Central Bank Tiger Radio Network affiliate, KTGR, FM 100.5. Pregame coverage, 11:45. Asia Blackwell, by the way, 332 rebounds on the year. That is good for third on the Mizzou all-time single-season chart. Brad Trinago will have the call for you coming up today. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35. And our traffic check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet here in the mid-Missouri area. If you do want to report a traffic issue, you can call or text us, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Please don't turn your radio off, and please don't be offended.
For example, when you have a scary dream, if you wake up, you'll likely notice that your heart is racing. It's completely normal to have sexual dreams, and for some people, it is normal to have wet dreams when they are going through puberty. Sometimes people can't remember their dreams and may feel confused when they wake up and their sheets are wet. Don't be embarrassed. Just gather the sheets up and put them in the washer. And remember, when you have a wet dream, you ejaculate semen, not urine.
It's all factual. And let me be honest with you. You don't have to answer out loud. And thank you for not changing or turning off your radio. I'll ask you rhetorically, did it make you a little uncomfortable to hear that? It's all factual. Doesn't make me uncomfortable, but I'm a 52 or 50. How old am I now, Hannah? 52,
I think.
52, I think. Which, by the way, Stephanie Bell has the day off, so I am the oldest guy in the room.
Even when Steph is here.
I'm still the oldest guy. But that is a statement of fact. Stephanie is not here today. Today, I am the oldest guy in the room. Statements of fact.
Even when Brian Hauswirth isn't here, you're still the oldest guy in the room.
When Gary Nolan starts shuffling in about 8:55, then I lose. The title of oldest guy in the room. So this video on wet dreams, nocturnal emissions, whatever you want to call it, apparently, according to parents, being shown in classes in 4th grade Columbia Public School District. Here's where I am on this. I don't know, but the parents are apparently upset about opt-out. Hey, how can we opt out? Apparently it's confusing, and this sounds consistent. Again, we got to go back to past behavior from people within the Columbia Public School District. Poor communications or no communications at all. And I have proved this to officials at the Columbia Public School District when I get accused of a tax. Say, no, facts are not a tax. By the way, this event last night for Randy Minshew, who's running for mayor, that's who I would vote for, and a couple of Columbia School Board candidates, Adam Burks, Andrea Lisenby, that's who I would vote for. And I think those are folks, if you're able to vote, please get out and vote. I think last municipal election, 13% turnout. We need more turnout. There were some teachers there last night. I was stunned. Teachers are showing up, and I got to speak to one teacher. I'm like, what's that like for you, at the school? Because, this the school board, think about this, all 7 members on the Columbia Public School Board, all endorsed by teachers' unions, and that is not good. People say, well, we need a Supreme Court that looks like America. Sure. We need a city council that looks like Columbia. Sure. We need a school board that looks like Columbia, please, I do hope you get out and vote. But parents are upset about some of these things because of opt-out issues. And I don't know. I don't have a kid in the school district. And we handle, and I don't think they call it sex ed anymore. It's reproductive health. What was it when you were in high school, Hannah?
Sex ed.
Sex ed. Okay. And I think now, again, we've put a different wrapping paper on it. It's reproductive health, which is fine. I don't know how I would feel about my third or fourth grader hearing this thing about wet dreams. I don't know. It would bother me. I would certainly want to know. And today, my thing is, do you want to know? And that's the other thing. And again, we know this. We know this to be a fact. And I say it's a fact because of the parents I talk to, because of the communications that I have with various officials related to the Columbia Public School District. We've sent press releases to people in communications that have looked at this and said, my goodness. I heard from more than one teacher last night that said, yeah, even communication from administration with teachers. I heard it from more than one teacher last night. People I talked to here in Columbia said, yeah, even communication to a lot of teachers is piss poor. And I'm like, well, that's consistent. It is consistent with my experience. It is consistent when I was in the courtroom with those parents several weeks ago regarding another lawsuit, because that's what they like to do. I know what you said, but we're going to do this anyway. Otherwise, our high schoolers might get out and strike. And, oh, my God, we can't do that. We can't have the whatever you say, kids. So as far as this stuff, it's communication. Somebody communicated to us via text that apparently WW headed east, so this would be east of 63. Broadway turns into WW, headed out to Fulton and the Vineyards and El Chaparral and all that. Apparently a trash truck. And I laugh, and it's not funny. I hate litter. I despise litter.
What do you think the odds are that the driver of this truck was listening to Wake Up Columbia? And went, I wonder if that's me.
So somebody reported, this about a half an hour ago, apparently there was a trash truck, and I don't know if it was city, private, I don't know what it was. But the trash, the trash bag was clinging to the back of the truck and spilling trash all across WW. And it was funny because we were going to talk about trash, and a great report from Molly Stewanoga from our news partners at ABC 17 last night.
Branden, just a quick follow-up on something you mentioned about because you were talking about legislative stuff and then school boards. There is a proposal from State Representative Phil Cristofanelli and he'd be great to have on. I know we had him on sports wagering. The bill was approved in committee. Let me look here. I want to say, because I'd been following this too, tracking it. It was approved last week, 7-2, so it's heading to the House floor. It would change, basically one sentence bill. It would change the school board elections across the state to November. And I think for people who are interested, you're talking about the turnout. House.mo.gov, the bill number here, and they can look it up, is House Bill 2306. There's 98 pages of testimony, and this is from Amy Krebs, Krebs. Anybody that writes in, by the way, it's a public record. They realize it. It says that. But she said, quote, this is a parent, I don't know where she's from. She says, the majority of voters come to the polls in November. When I was campaigning for Board of Election, again, we don't know where she's at in April, the turnout was so low. Those who did show up were teacher union NEA members. This does not represent our community taxpayers as a whole. Please change voting to November, end of quote. The reason I read that is that was kind of symbolic of a lot of the support. There's also opposition from the education folks. They want it to be in April, but it passed. And again, the question is it going to go through the Senate?
So the teachers union backs moving teacher elections to school board elections to November.
No.
They want to keep it where it is.
Yeah, a lot of the teachers and stuff, and you can, again, these comments are on here. I was just picking someone who happened to run for school board. There's a lot of people that are in support and a lot of people opposed. This lady ran for school board, but it doesn't say where. She doesn't give her name or doesn't give her town. But yeah, yes, there's a lot of folks in support, and a lot. This is somebody else that said that the turnout is abysmal in Melville, and you grew up in that area.
Yeah.
They want to change it as well. But the supporters of keeping it where it's at right now say there's no need to do it. So again, we'll see what happens. But that is something that we're going to have to keep a close eye on, because it will probably get to the floor after spring break.
I think it would be a great number one. By the way, this whole idea of sometimes we do elections in August, and then there's primaries, and then there's municipals in the spring, and then generals in November. How much money we could. Steve Spellman, who I don't know how to describe the dude. He's a local guy. He just cares about his community. He's always involved in stuff. As a matter of fact, tomorrow he's speaking at the Columbia Pachyderms. He did a great presentation several months ago regarding, the cost of elections, especially these elections where we have 12, 13, 14% turnout. Why don't we just put them all together? Quick text from John. Branden, I never did like your show, but that wet dream deal that's being played in the Columbia Public School District for third or for fourth graders, I did switch channels. Well, we appreciate you listening. And I appreciate you, seriously, taking the time out of your day to let us know how you feel about that. All right, trash in Columbia. So on WW earlier this morning, apparently there's a trash truck. From what we can tell, didn't cause any major traffic issues, but just spewing trash all over the place. Because there's a trash bag hanging off the back of it. Molly Stellanoga from ABC 17 did a story. 1 year later, we're into this pay-as-you-go system. I will tell you, I have not heard one person say, hey, this thing with the city of Columbia and the monogrammed trash bags, which James says 40 years from now, he will be nostalgic about monogrammed trash bags. What's hot with Hannah today's on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. What are we going to be nostalgic about 40 years from now? He says monogram trash bags.
Which is funny because when I hear the word monogram, I think of like the things that a lot of girls have on their cars where it's like your initials. So I'm picturing like really fancy monogrammed trash bags with like your initials on them.
The city of Columbia, COC. That's what it would be, right? That would be their monogram, COC. As a matter of fact, I reached out to our good friends at D-Sport Graphics.
Please do it.
No, I did. And I said, and Brian Hauswirth is checking out. Goal accomplished today. Can I get our goal is to make Brian Hauswirth, the news director here, giggle every day.
You're a good man. I appreciate you.
I love you, Brian Hauswirth. I mean that.
And I love you, too. And Molly's story is really well done. Yeah. It is really well done. She also did a records request and has some of the customer complaints in here, 200 complaints. There's a lot of stuff in here, these charts and stuff, so really well done. And it's hard to really get all that in like 30 seconds, but there's a ton there. Thank you, sir.
And there are some good things that have happened. I want to highlight some audio. ABC 17 talking to Matt Nestor with Columbia Utilities Department. I do want to get to that. But I seriously called D-Sport Graphics and said, hey, everybody calls these.
Can we like rearrange the letters or something?
So that came up. So people call these City of Columbia trash bags monogram trash bags because it says City of Columbia and it's got the bold print. And I said, well, if it's monogrammed, it's got to be the initials. For example, for me, my monogram would be HBR. What would yours be?
So technically, when you're doing a monogram, your middle or your last initial goes in the middle. So yours would actually be HRB. Mine is HAC.
Okay, so I'll go old school. So mine would be HBR. So City of Columbia, the monogram would be COC. And so I called D-Sport Graphics and said, hey, can we do some trash bags? And the folks here at D-Sport, man, they do some, we rely on them all the time. They do phenomenal work. And they said, well, with the issue, if we were trying to do that in trash bags, it might be more of a challenge and it would be pretty interesting. But they brought up the same thing. They're like, hey, maybe. Huh. By the way, Sandy via text, love the monogram trash bag idea, COC, City of Columbia. So I was talking to D-Sport Graphics, and they said, hey, because some people, the producer can be 16 sometimes.
Hey, I was 16 not that long ago. Thank you.
So they said, maybe we should move some of the letters around. And I said, sure, let's do Columbia of City. Does that make it better? It would still be COC. I love the idea.
You're pulling a Biden instead of, what was it, Build Back Better?
I'm calling. It was Build Back Better. That failed because the cookie crumbles, but now it's Building America Better. See, I put some Teenage Mutant Ninja wrapping paper on it, and now it's way better. All right, so maybe we'll get into this trash thing. City say, hey, there are some good things that have happened. The public, by the way, City Councilman Matt Pitzer was, as I recall, the only person on the City Council to rightfully vote against that system. Also want to let you know, Brad Tranago, Mizzou Women's play-by-play guy, he's going to be joining us 8:35. Something hopefully we can get rally around a little bit. Mizzou Women SEC tournament taking on Arc. So still some nice weather, and this is what goes on whenever the weather gets really nice. People start going, oh yeah, yard, I gotta start thinking about that, and then they start calling Salter Lawn Service. So I want to make sure you're aware. You'd probably a good idea start calling now, because a lot of folks here in town, they rely on Salter Lawn Service to take care of all their maintenance needs. And you might use them, I don't know, maybe you may have them come out and do your yard four times a month. They send you a bill. You don't ever have to worry about it. Or maybe it's you're looking around, you know what? We could really use a pretty decent yard cleanup before we get into spring here. The folks you call would be Salter Lawn Service. You know, when you drive through town, and sometimes you see these really nice manicured and landscaped pieces of lawn, whether it's a business park or an apartment complex. There's a good chance it was done by Salter Lawn Service, and they'll do the same for your house. Looks good. Call Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all.
Moving forward with Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
Well, I think he captured this rare moment of unity in our country right now. I think
Claire McCaskill, I was just chatting with her last Tuesday. She was at Roy Blunt's dinner. Roy Blunt being honored by the Missouri Times as Statesman of the Year. Claire and her sister were there. I flirted with Claire McCaskill's sister a little bit. Why not?
I am not surprised, actually.
Why not? So Claire used to come on the show. People would hate it. Like they hate the monogram trash bags in the city of Columbia. But she would come on because why not have a differing point of view? Talk to her about coming back on the show. Hopefully she'll come on. So that's her last night. Talking about the State of the Union from the other night. Joe Biden captured a rare moment of unity. And remember, January 20th, 2021, it was unity, unity, unity. And then Joe promptly went and signed a whole bunch of executive orders. His action was the exact opposite of his words. Everything he has done since then has been the opposite of what he said. My grandfather, God rest his soul, who worked for Kit Bond and the Kit Bond administration while he was governor of Missouri, Joseph Tisdale tried to kick him out. My grandpa gave him double #1 salute, stayed in, weathered the storm, stayed with Kit Bond. My grandfather used to say, Branden, I told Kit Bond when he didn't get the reelection, he said, I told him I would stay with him. And he said, Kit kind of, okay. But my grandfather said, I showed him. Those weren't just words. I stayed with him. Sure enough, 4 years later, becomes governor again. So my grandpa always said, show me. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Words, unless you have a history, a pattern of behavior of backing up your words with action, they can be meaningless. And Joe's words were meaningless. But I thought that was funny that Claire McCaskill saying yesterday that Joe Biden captured a rare moment of unity, because when we were all over this unity thing, Claire was sitting at her house here in Columbia saying,
shut up about unity.
That was her less than a year ago. We were all about, and I said her house in Columbia, not in Columbia, here in Missouri.
Shut up about unity.
But yesterday...
Well, I think he captured this rare moment of unity in our...
All right, coming up, 8:10. There are some things taking place in Jefferson City legislatively that could affect us. I'll have that for you at 8:10 on 93.9 The Eagle.
War crimes in Ukraine. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The International Criminal Court is investigating Russia as the bombardment continues.
They're targeting civilians especially. They're trying to kill women and children. They're bombing apartments.
He's in Kharkiv, which one resident in a shelter also earlier told Fox is mostly destroyed. No shops open, nothing. Russia's also taking control of Kherson while attacking other cities, including Kyiv. But it claims it's open to stopping. Fox's Simon Owen has an update live.
Dave, both Ukraine and Russia say they're ready for another round of talks. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says the Ukrainians know our negotiating position. He says Russia is waiting for Ukraine's response. But he also warned Russia is in no mood to stop its attacks and will continue. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says his military's defense lines in a number of cities are holding amid seemingly many deaths on both sides. Dave.
Simon, the UN says more than 1 million Ukrainians have now fled the country. The Paralympic Winter Games start tomorrow, and Russia and ally Belarus not allowed to compete.
The IPC unable to ignore Paralympians from other countries in the athletes' village in Beijing who threatened to withdraw if Russian and Belarusian athletes were allowed to compete. The IPC president said it was a very, very volatile environment in the athletes' village, a very rapid escalation.
Fox's Jared Max. Trucks and cars in charred ruins on a close stretch of I-95 in Volusia County, Florida, where thick fog early this morning led to chain reaction crashes.
We have 2 fatal crashes, 1 on each side. That's very unusual to have something like that.
Highway Patrol Lieutenant Kim Montes, 3 people were killed, several others injured. Fewer Americans filed first-time unemployment claims last week, almost 8%, dropped to 215,000. The price of oil surged this morning. It's back down, but gas prices up 7 cents today, 18 cents in a week. America's listening to Fox News.
With each mortgage-free home, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. These heroes who have risked their lives for our country and our communities need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historic low rates may be a great reason to refinance, but when matched with an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot, you could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year Smart Term loan or our 10-year ARM loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit LoanDepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03 right now. We have bright sunshine in Columbia. It's 39 degrees. We're expecting a high today into the mid-50s. Tonight, we're expecting the overnight low to be pleasant, down to the 30s. A little bit warmer tomorrow, high into the 60s, and then a chance of rain coming into the forecast on Saturday. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. Missouri's governor will be joining business and education leaders here in less than 2 hours at a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Columbia. He's going to highlight a new lab and expanded job skill programs.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson will be in Columbia this morning to help cut the ribbon on the new MACC lab, which is located at Parkade Center. The lab has numerous state-of-the-art tools and equipment, and the aim is to develop skills and to encourage entrepreneurship. Moberly Area Community College President Jeff Lashley and Columbia Chamber of Commerce leaders will join the governor at the ceremony, which begins at 10 o'clock. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thank you. Meantime, Missouri's governor says the State House Dome in Jefferson City continues to be lit blue and yellow in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Governor Mike Parson has ordered the dome to shine blue and yellow through sunrise tomorrow as Ukrainians defend their nation against the Russian invasion. Blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian national flag. 2 top Missouri Republicans are unveiling a plan today that they hope will remove Russian products from shelves. They also want to send a message about human rights.
Missouri officials propose to cancel public contracts with Russian entities and pull Russian products from stores as they join a growing contingent of U.S. states targeting the country over the war with Ukraine. Republican Lieutenant Governor Mike Keogh said he was encouraging retailers to remove Russian products such as vodka from their shelves and replace them with American-made alternatives. Board of the Missouri State Employees Retirement System meeting today to consider divesting its Russian holdings. John Marsh, 93.9, The Eagle.
In other news at this hour, a Hallsville teen has been killed in a horrific crash. It happened on Highway 124 in Boone County. State troopers say 18-year-old Molly Jones was a passenger in a vehicle westbound on 124. The vehicle went off the road. It hit a culvert and overturned. 18-year-old Molly Jones pronounced dead at the scene. The vehicle's driver, a 17-year-old juvenile from New Franklin, suffering moderate injuries. The crash happening about 5:20 yesterday afternoon. A child from St. Louis is dead. A crash, a separate one that happened last night, Highway 54 in Callaway County. This one happened about 9:45 p.m. State troopers say the 8-year-old boy pronounced dead at Capital Region Medical Center in Jefferson City. Another driver sustaining serious injuries. She was life-flighted to University Hospital in Columbia. Her name is Elizabeth Miller. She lives in Fulton. In Missouri's retiring U.S. Senator says the debates that take place daily in the Missouri House Chamber in Jefferson City closely resemble the debates on Capitol Hill. Republican Senator Roy Blunt made his comments during a recent address to the Missouri House.
The discussion you have every day has probably more of a resemblance to the national debate than any other legislative body except the national body. I think our state is that reflective of what the country's all about.
Senator Blunt notes there's major differences between North Missouri, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Missouri's Boot Heel, along with the state's largest cities. We have more on the senator's comments, including a picture of him addressing the House on our website, 939theeagle.com. Okay. Senator Roy Blunt, as he speaks, looking directly at the House photographer, Tim Baumel. It's a great pic, 939theeagle.com. Our news is brought to you this morning by Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank has a dedicated customer care team. They get you the help you need and deserve. Callaway Bank, they're with you for the moments that matter. 939 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. In sports, Mizzou women's basketball team is playing today. It is the SEC tournament. Just seems like yesterday the season started. Here we are at Bridgestone Arena. Brad Trinago in Kathy will be there today. Mizzou, the 9 seed. Arkansas, the 8 seed. Mizzou coming in with a record of 18-11. Not an easy game by any means. You catch all the action. Central Bank Tiger Network Zimmer affiliate KTGR, FM 100.5. Pregame coverage with Brad and Kathy will start at 11:45 this morning. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. All right, Kevin, thank you. Great work this morning. We appreciate you both on television and radio. Sunshine, 40 degrees. Traffic Check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. The only report we had, Branden had a couple of reports about this trash truck on Route WW. Haven't heard anything else besides that recently, but if you have an update on that, 874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
No, we're still in the same boat. We still have a number of positions open. We needed to make it so that when the workers came around the corner, they knew what to expect. And when you're doing this, the bags hold 50 pounds each. When you're doing it 50 pounds at a time, it's a lot less stress on the workers.
It's Matt Nestor with the City of Columbia Utility Department. 1 year later, we're into this pay-as-you-throw system. The monogram trash, if they were really monogram trash bags, City of Columbia, they would just have the letters COC. City of Columbia. I don't see why I have to say City of Columbia. Couldn't we save just a little bit on printing cost if we're going to do this system anyway? Matt Pitzer, the only city councilman, as I recall, that voted against this. And I will say this. I have never heard anybody say, hey, I'm a fan of this system. I like how this is working. And again, that's what listen, everything we talk about here, whether it's school board members, whether it's voting for Randy Minshew for mayor, whether it's voting for Roy Lovelady in that 3rd District Council race, whether it's voting for Andrea Lisenby and Adam Burks in the school board races coming up just a little over a month from now, we live in the city of Columbia. Residents have said no to roll carts. Blows me away. And I'm guessing a lot of these people that said no to roll carts were the same people that voted for Joe to be in office. ABC 17 did a story, Molly Stawanoga, and it says, in the first full year of operation, Columbia's pay-as-you-throw garbage system has brought down the amount of residential trash collected in the city. However, it's missed the mark when it comes to staffing and resident satisfaction. It's missed the mark when it comes to staffing and resident satisfaction. And by the way, and I wonder about this number here too. It's reduced residential trash. And I think Shonda White, who ABC also talked to, because I'm thinking this as I'm watching this great story from Molly Stawanoga, I'm like, yeah, but probably here's what happened. And then, when you react with the radio or the TV, I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman said what I was just thinking.
I think trash is just being moved to different places.
In other words, maybe, and here's what we've heard a lot, even prior to this story, people dumping their stuff like in construction dumpsters. People maybe when they're getting into work, they're bringing their trash from home and they're putting it in the trash can at work or any other kind of commercial dumpster. So I wonder if it's some of that. Randy Tobler hosts the Randy Tobler Show weekdays 4 to 6 here on 93.9 The Eagle. I want to ask you this. So when I first got here, and I'm having a good conversation with somebody, because every time it comes up, I'm tired of, not tired, just this whole thing debating roll carts. It's like talking about how poor our president is. We know. Do I need to keep saying it? Do we know how superior roll carts are to trash bags? Yep. And after all these years, I get tired of arguing about it. But having a great conversation with somebody by the name of Dennis about it. Says, they're like electric cars. Roll carts sound good, looks good on paper, but they just don't work. And that is implicitly false. They absolutely do work. Because you can look at just about every other city in America, and they're using roll carts. Because here's my thing. People drive through our town. We have an issue with litter anyway, and people drive by. And I remember when I first got here, I'm like, why do people have trash bags sitting in the front of their house? Have you ever seen anything like this? And again, we have to funnel everything through But we live in the city of Columbia, where they're more worried about virtue signaling and building homeless shelters than things that people really care about, which is trash and the trashiness that our current system solves. And, here's the other thing, and they put, and I get they got to do it. They put the city of Columbia on the bags, and I almost think that looks worse than just a plain black trash bag. But I try to save wherever I can, and I believe this, Randy, and I'm guessing as a libertarian, independent, conservative, I'm thinking you would agree with this. Every little bit helps, whether it's a little bit of time, whether it's a little bit of money. People say, well, that's just a little bit. It doesn't matter. It does matter, every little bit. Couldn't we save just a little bit, even in printing costs on the bag, if we took off the fancy print in the big city of Columbia and we just used like the monogram? We could just put COC on the bags. Wouldn't we save like a little bit in the printing costs? Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and that's and here's the thing, and we do, and it's a shame. The politics aside and all this, and the wokeness and the bleeding heart progressives, and we got to build homeless shelters, and Columbia City Council needs to look like Columbia, all that stuff. I do. I love Columbia. This is a trashy town. As a matter of fact, there's a project that I've been working on, and this has nothing to do with the radio station. There's very few people that even know about this, and it's been a while in the progress, but I'm working on this big thing, and but it's people pull into our town. Let's say you're on 70. You're coming from St. Louis, you're cruising down 70, and you get off there at 70 and 63. We look poor. We just look bad. And I don't mean poor financially. We don't have good presentation. And you're exactly right, Randy. All these other things, when people talk about moving here, there's a lot of things they look at. And, you can't just drive them, through the Highlands and places like that. You got to take them into other places. You got to take them through town. And you're exactly right. People see this stuff. Like when I first... Why do people have trash bags sitting on their front yard? Randy Tobler's hanging out with us. He hosts the Randy Tobler Show weekdays 4 to 6 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Let me ask you your opinion on this, too. And I can't even take credit for this. There's a guy I work with, pretty smart dude. His name is Mike Mayfield, and I was telling him about this project that I'm trying to do, and I'd like to say I've worked very hard at it, but I haven't. But I'm working on it. And he brought up something, and this had never occurred to me. He talked about the business loop exit, for example. A lot of places you go to a town that says the business loop. The image that comes to my mind, oh, the business loop, kind of a downtown area, maybe something that's pleasing aesthetically. And if you're westbound on I-70, again, coming from St. Louis, you pass the 63 exit, then that next exit off to your left is the business loop exit. What's on the business loop, and I'm not knocking any of our local businesses there, that's not it at all, but it just doesn't seem representative of where we live, I mean, there's a lot to be said for presentation, Randy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well. And so I'm trying to do my little part because it's easy to sit and complain, but I'm trying to do something about it. Randy Tobler Show, weekdays 4 to 6 here on 93.9 The Eagle. I know it's early. Any idea what's coming up on the show this afternoon? All right. I'm looking forward. That's 4 o'clock, start of the Randy Tobler Show here on 93.9 The Eagle. By the way, good to hear you doing a show here on the radio station. Please do me a favor. Check out the Randy Tobler Show today starting at 4 o'clock. We'll see you, man. Yeah, and our condolences. Now, besides you hosting a radio show here on 93.9 The Eagle, Randy Tobler and I have been friends prior to his time here on the radio station, and I was saddened at your pain at losing your father. And I will say this, my father is 72, and I know that day is going to come, and I know for you that's got to suck right now. There's even, regardless of the age, it still hurts. But here's the thing that I always look to, Randy. One day, when my dad, I don't even like to think about it, but one day when my dad dies, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call Randy, and I'm going to say, hey, man, what did you do when your dad died? Please pass along your experience to me. So it's a painful experience now, but I think the beautiful thing is you'll be able to share that and help other people. All right, you're welcome. 874-9390. Charlie's against roll cards. What's up, Charlie?
Yes. Where do you put them? Do you put them in your garage and have it smell in your garage all the time? Do you put them outside so your neighbors can watch you put your trash in your roll cart?
Where do you put your trash? Where do you put your trash now?
What I do, I have a black bag in my kitchen in the trash, and when it's time to take it out, I pick it up. Right. I go to the bathrooms, pick up the bathroom trash, go through the garage, pick up the garage trash, take it to the curb, and it's gone.
Okay.
So, as a matter of fact, I can take a blue bag with me at the same time.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that would agree with you, Charlie. But you put the roll cart where you're dumping the trash bags out under your front yard. And here's the other thing, and I don't mean to cut you short. You and I could sit here and chat all day. I really do appreciate you. I just
I like what you're saying about the curbs, because we did that back with Lady Bird Johnson. If you're that old, all the overpasses up.
Yeah,
yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Charlie. Here's the thing, and my good friend Laura Nauser, former lifetime member of the Wake Up Columbia family, and I think Hannah will attest to this and get my back on this. I don't even keep trash in my house. To me, that is such, even like a little trash can under the sink or at the edge, I don't do that. To me, that's the weirdest. And
Don't you basically carry in like a grocery bag full of trash and use the dumpster here at work?
No.
Yes, you do.
But I don't even keep a trash can in my house, because to me, that is weird that people throw trash in their house and then let it sit there for a few days. That's just weird.
You're a weird dude.
I know. I have some of the traits of a mass murderer. I get it. I own it. I keep my shoes in the freezer. I don't keep trash in my house. It's just bizarre, even for a matter of days. Just the weirdest thing. And I wash my hands.
And you brush your teeth in public restrooms.
Here at work. Coming up, the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that since Stephanie Bell is not here today, I'll have to give you. And this is something local, by the way. Good news for a lot of folks. It's coming
An eye on the nation, an eagle eye on mid-Missouri. Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
Economists have been expecting to see the labor market improve with fewer COVID Omicron-related disruptions and sick-outs, and there was another slight improvement last week.
Does it sound like there's a but coming? Fox will have more on the job numbers report here shortly on 93.9 The Eagle. It's 8:29. Time for the Morning Bell. Business news with a little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you. According to ABC 17, more than $5 million coming to Boone County to expand broadband specifically in northern Boone County. Listen, a lot of us take this, it's easy. I got great internet service. That's not the case for everybody here in mid-Missouri, especially we're in a large rural area. So that's good news. Brad Tronago is here talking Mizzou women's basketball SEC tournament. Let's rally behind this game today. He's here at 8:35.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The Russian military now claims control of a Ukrainian city, the first to fall.
It is the strategically important city of Kherson in the south. The mayor of that city confirming that Russian forces are there, saying rather grimly that he has asked Russian forces not to shoot civilians and to allow the people of Kherson time to take the bodies off the streets.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt. New unemployment claims are down 18,000 from the week before.
First-time claims for unemployment benefits in the most recent week came in below expectations at 215,000. That shows a job market that is solid.
Dagan McDowell with Fox Business. At least 3 people are killed with more hospitalized in 5 separate crashes at the same time on a foggy highway in Edgewater, Florida.
We have 2 fatal crashes, one on each side.
Florida Highway Patrol Lieutenant Kim Montes. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31. Right now we do have bright sunshine in Columbia. It is 40 degrees. Going to be a beautiful day today. You will definitely need your jacket today. Sunny with a high of 56 degrees. Clear tonight, low near 35. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 67 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here are some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. Missouri's governor on his way this morning to the business loop. He's going to cut a ribbon at MACC.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson will be in Columbia this morning to help cut the ribbon on the new MACC lab, which is located at Parkade Center. The lab has numerous state-of-the-art tools and equipment, and the aim is to develop skills and to encourage entrepreneurship. Moberly Area Community College President Jeff Lashley and Columbia Chamber of Commerce leaders will join the governor at the ceremony, which begins at 10 o'clock. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thank you. Meantime, Columbia's new city manager says you're going to see continued improvements along the business loop over the next 4 to 5 years. DeCarlin Seawood says the business loop roadway itself is scheduled for a complete overhaul next year. He says the road improvements will also improve pedestrian safety along the business loop. You can hear the full interview with Mr. Seawood, 939theeagle.com. Columbia's Airport Advisory Board receiving a close-up view of the $23 million new terminal being built at Columbia Regional Airport yesterday. The board touring the new terminal. It's set to open this summer. Mayor Brian Treese describes the new terminal as a generational investment that will put further destinations in play. Branden and I were both out at the scene in December. There's been a lot of progress since we were both out there in mid-December. 939theeagle.com. You can take a look at a picture from yesterday's tour to see all the progress that has been made. And a Hallsville teen has been killed in a crash on Highway 124 in Boone County. State troopers say 18-year-old Molly Jones, a passenger in a car that was westbound on 124. The vehicle went off the road. It struck a culvert and overturned. Patrol says Jones was pronounced dead at the scene. The accident happening yesterday about 5:20 in the afternoon. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:33. sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team is playing today at noon against Arkansas. It is the SEC tournament. Mizzou coming in as the 9 seed, Arkansas the 8 seed. Mizzou is 18 and 11, the Hogs 17 and 12. All the action, the Central Bank Tiger Radio Network. Our Zimmer affiliate for Mizzou women's basketball is KTGR FM 100.5. You hear all the action. Brad Trinago will be courtside today with Kathy. They're on the air with the pregame at 11:45. Big show after that with Andy Humphrey and company. They'll have a recap and talk more. Hopefully Mizzou will win, play again. They would play tomorrow. Don't know the opponent as of yet if they do win. Again, 11:45 pregame, noon tip-off today. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34. And our traffic check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. It's 8:34, 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Our roads have been pretty quiet this morning. Had 2 just terrible accidents yesterday. One in the late afternoon, almost early evening, and then one last night. 2 separate fatalities. Today it has been quiet. We like to see that. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
This is Brad Trinago, the voice of Mizzou women's basketball, and you're listening to Wake Up Columbia on Hot. Wait a second, I'm already on the show. Branden, start talking.
Brad, remember those days, bud?
I do. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. It's Brad Trinago, former and, of course, lifetime member of the Wake Up Columbia family. Big game. And I'm hoping, listen, this is one of those things, let's hope we do well, the Mizzou women's basketball team, because it gives, I think, as a community, gives us something to all rally around and something to follow for a few days, hopefully launching us into the NCAA tournament. But first, we got to get past today. What's in store for us today in the Mizzou women's basketball team, Brad?
Yeah, so it's technically called the second round, but this is the first game for Mizzou in this event this week, and it's a matchup with Arkansas. They finished tied for 8th in the conference. Arkansas is the 8th seed, and Mizzou is the 9th seed because these teams played twice, and Arkansas won both games, and they're a team that seems to be in pretty good position to make the NCAA tournament. There's a metric called the net ranking system, and Arkansas is a little bit higher up than Mizzou is in that. Mizzou comes in coming off a great win at nationally ranked Florida to wrap up the regular season on Sunday. That appeared to improve the tournament status. They may have already done enough to earn an NCAA tournament berth, but that's not for certain. And a win here today would certainly be pretty useful heading into the selection Sunday on the 13th.
And it seems like, from what I know about the teams, they seem pretty evenly matched. And and that's the thing about the Mizzou women's basketball team this year. They've had some really impressive, surprising wins over some ranked teams, and that's been pretty fun. In your mind, maybe behind the scenes stuff that we don't get to see on TV or hear here in Brian Hauswirth Sports. Kind of one of the more fun things for you and the Mizzou women's basketball team and Coach Pinkston this year.
Well, there's always some interesting stuff, just the opportunities to go to different places and experience different places on road trips. And, at least for me personally, this is actually our second trip to Nashville. And the first one happened the night before the game. It was actually my birthday. And as it turned out, Dwight Yoakam was playing at Ryman Auditorium.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, you know what, the heck with it, I'm going for it. So I went, I got a ticket and ended up going. And the Ryman Auditorium is, one of the most famous music venues, at least in Nashville. And it's a former church. So it looks like a church on the outside, and on the inside even, it looks like a church, honestly. And the acoustics in there are incredible, and you can kind of feel the history. And Dwight Yoakam sounded great. And so that was a really fun experience. So it's one of the many perks that comes along with this job, is that I get to tag along and call all these exciting games, and then also get to experience some of the cooler places in the country.
Brad, great to hear your voice, and our congratulations to you. You've done a fabulous job. Love getting to hear you and Kathy on the games. 2 very quick questions. Number one, you've been there every game. The Mizzou started off with the 8 wins, and you go back. I remember your call December 5th. at number 5 Baylor, Mizzou loses 70-68. What if, hypothetically, I mean, they ended up losing by 2 points, but what if they win that game? Does that change anything the rest of the year?
Well, you never know. Good to hear from you too, by the way, buddy. But you never know how players are going to react if a game would have gone differently, and a butterfly flaps his wings halfway across the world, and we have a hurricane here or something. If you just independently flip that from, Mizzou had a shot at the end of regulation to tie the game, and they had all the momentum in the second half of that game. So you would have liked their odds in overtime if it would have gone to overtime. But, if Mizzou wins that game, we're not talking at all about the bubble. We're talking about Mizzou as absolutely an NCAA tournament team with 2 wins against teams that are currently in the top 5 in the nation, because Baylor's sitting at number 5 right now. South Carolina, of course, is at number 1. So, yeah, you had the Baylor game and the LSU game also. I mean, LSU is number 7 in the latest NCAA tournament rankings. That game went to overtime before Mizzou wound up losing by 2, and again on the road. So Mizzou has 2 really good wins. Obviously, South Carolina, they're the only team in the country to beat South Carolina at this point. So I think that's the top bullet point on the resume, and that's going to be the strongest argument that Mizzou is going to take into the room where the NCAA tournament committee sets their field. And then that win at Florida on Sunday, also on the road against a nationally ranked opponent, is great. But really those 2 losses, too, against Baylor and LSU, I think show that Mizzou can compete with anybody in the country. Now the question is, can you consistently put that together through the month of March and make a run?
Yeah, and hopefully, and here's what I hope. I hope they do well, because it gives us something as a town and as fans. It just gives us something to follow and get excited about for a while. Brad Trinago joined us. I want to ask something. I've always said this, even when you were here with us, and I say it now, of the big 4 sports, basketball is my least favorite. But when I got to know you years ago, I started paying attention to women's basketball. Even went to a few games. And I've said this, and I said this morning to Hannah. Hannah's got my back on this, that I enjoy watching women's basketball more than dudes basketball.
I think we might enjoy watching women's sports for different reasons.
Hannah,
but yeah,
stop it. No, because it's plotting. It's more. I think women's basketball, it's more strategic. Hannah says men's basketball, it's more flash. But Hannah had an interesting viewpoint as somebody who did awesome work for Centralia's basketball team for years.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about now. I'm just making this up as I go along. But Hannah played basketball, Centralia High School. But Hannah's point was she thought that and I don't want to sound like I'm being a sexist here, but that women can be more, what was the word you used?
I forget the exact word I used, but basically aggressive and mean and cutthroat.
More, she said that she felt they could be, the women basketball players could be more mean, aggressive, kind of cutthroat-ish. Your perceptions in covering both men's and women's basketball?
Well, I do feel like it's different games, and part of it is that while there are women's basketball players who can dunk, there aren't a lot of those. Whereas pretty much every major college basketball game and up, you're going to see a whole lot of stuff happening above the rim, and so it's just a different dynamic in terms of how the game is played. Where if you can draw up the play where you throw it 11 feet in the air and someone's going to jump up and grab it and then throw it down. Whereas you don't have that play in women's basketball. You have to use each other and work in different ways, and you kind of have to work more collectively in a lot of cases. But in terms of the aggression, there's the possibility at noon today that we could see some of that whenever Mizzou and Arkansas play. I mean, it's a designated rival in the conference, so that's the only team that Mizzou plays at least twice every single year. So you've got some stuff that just gets built up from seeing each other a lot. The last game got a little chippy in Columbia at times, and it just tends to get a little chippy every time that they play each other. So which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. That's part of why I like sports, is the ability to compete in that type of aspect. But Arkansas, it's a challenging matchup. They're the best offensive team in the SEC. They scored more than 80 points in both wins against Mizzou this season. So, for Mizzou defensively, it's going to be important to make the adjustments necessary to slow them down. And then, Mizzou, in terms of efficiency, they're the best shooting team in the conference. I know it's a little, if that makes sense. Mizzou's the best shooting team in terms of percentage, but Arkansas is the best offensive team because they can rack up a ton of points. So if Mizzou can hit some shots, play a little better defensively than they have the first two games against the Razorbacks, they've definitely got a chance here to get the win and move on to tomorrow and what would be a date with South Carolina. Speaking of opponents where you can get a little. Speaking of opponents, where you can get a little chippy. Yeah.
Now, Brad, when you say a little chippy, can you define that for us, please?
Well, a few years back, the South Carolina game ended in a lawsuit. So, yeah, they can get a little bit.
It's a little chippy.
Multiple courts.
And
multiple courts.
We'll wrap it up there. Brad Trinago, former and lifelong member of the Wake Up Columbia family. By the way, off the text, Sandy says, we love to hear, always love hearing from Brad. Thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, and good hearing from you guys, and see you down the road.
All right, let's go. Mizzou women's basketball, man. I hope they do well. It gives us something, to be excited about for a few days, even if you're not a fan of the basketball team, just something else to think about for a while. I want to mention, here's one of the reasons that we talk about, we appreciate people that listen to Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle, people that get facetious and humorous with us because they get what we do, and we appreciate when you add to the show. So I'm having a spirited discussion with a listener by the name of Dennis, and we're talking about roll cards versus trash bags, which is fun every time this topic has come up. But we're having, he doesn't like roll cards, and I do, and we're having discussions back and forth via the text, because that's another thing we do. We try, listen, you reach out to us via text, like 50% of the time, we respond. We respond.
It depends on if Stephanie's here or not, right?
Yeah. So we're having this back and forth, and he says, Branden, do you think people coming to see this town worry about trash when there's so many other things happening in town? And I think that's more important. And by the way, just so you know, my coworkers say I'm being a contrarian today, so I appreciate the sense of humor. I'm nominating Dennis for one of our winners of the week tomorrow. We do that every Feel Good Friday, 8:35. We just, some of the winners of the week. We'll be doing that tomorrow morning. My dad is getting really excited. Gary Nolan's show is getting ready, and also we have a healthy serving of leftovers coming up. We'll get into leftovers here about 8:50. For Brad Trinago, here's some Dwight Yoakam.
Everyone else takes it too seriously. Thank God you get it. This is Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert, 93.9 The Eagle.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
When folks vote, they order what they want, and in this case, they got what they asked for.
Yep. Kamala is speaking the truth on all points. She was asked what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, and as you heard her deftly describe there, well, see, Russia is a country, and then there's this country next to it, and Russia's bigger, and they invaded Ukraine.
I saw a meme just a few minutes ago about this, and it said when you forget to do your book report, so you have to do it the morning of class.
Yeah. Well, see, there's this country, and it's a big country. And by the way, the star of the Gary Nolan show, Brian Hansen, put this very well yesterday when he said it's like Sesame Street. You know, it's like I could say, Hannah, 2 + 2 is 4. And I would think that I've said something really profound. What I've said is accurate. What Kamala said is accurate. Ukraine is next to Russia. Russia is a bigger... But
it's one of the more factual statements that she's had.
And then she was also... She's 2 for 2 today.
Wrong.
When folks vote, they order what they want, and in this case, they got what they asked for.
She is being factual there, too. Welcome into the show. Oh, before we move forward into leftovers, I didn't want this to escape your attention today. I think this is sometimes, we say something, we go, oh. I was trying to make the opposite points of what I just said. Yeah, in other words, we put our foot in our mouth, basically.
We've never done that before, have we?
Jen Psaki yesterday, and I think she's trying to speak to Joe's experience on a worldwide stage or his experience.
Just because he's been there doesn't mean it's great experience, right?
His experience on the worldwide stage. Joe, have you ever? Yeah, I've been to the world because the cookie crumbles. I think Jen Psaki is one of those things. She probably said it, and as she is saying it, she is almost physically reaching her hand out, trying to grab back those words that she just said.
I was at the State Department. The president was the vice president the last time Russia invaded Ukraine.
Last time that Russia invaded Ukraine, our current president, he was also in charge then, too.
So what I'm hearing is President Biden is the common denominator in both situations. Is that what I'm hearing?
Why do I keep dating all these crazy broads?
Now, if Stephanie Bell were here, she would say women or ladies.
Why do I keep dating all these crazy ladies? Common denominator...
Branden Rathert.
Welcome to the show. Glad you could be here. Tomorrow is going to be a feel-good Friday. We'll celebrate some of the good things happening in the news. We'll nominate some winners of the week, and maybe we'll nominate some losers of the week, too.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
Leftovers, big old serving of leftovers this morning before we do get into my dad's favorite show here on 93.9 The Eagle, the Gary Nolan Show. Ryan Ferguson, Dusty Harris. Of course, you know the story of Ryan Ferguson. He spent 10 years in jail for the 2001 murder of former Columbia Daily Tribune sports reporter Kent Heitholt. His conviction then vacated in 2013. He was on he was in the Amazing Race finale. Apparently, they fell short. And former Mizzou football player, I'll forget his name, Clayton Escher, I forget his name. He's, I think he is still in the game where they get all the...
Man, you're doing a great job.
What's the one where they fill a house up with all these women and then the guy goes through
The Bachelor?
each... Yeah, and he goes through each one and decides...
Choice of words there.
But isn't that what they do? Am I not like Kamala Harris and I'm being pretty factual?
I guess so.
And then they do the other one. Then what they fill the house full of dudes, and then the girl goes through all the dudes.
The Bachelorette.
The Bachelorette, and then she picks, okay, that one was not too shabby. I'll marry him and then divorce him 6 months later because the PR gig's over now.
If they even get married.
If they even get married. Anyhow, that dude, former football player, I think he's still on that show.
At one point, didn't we talk about having you apply to be on The Bachelorette?
Yeah, but not seriously.
I don't know. I was pretty serious.
Well, and I think we did. We started to go and look at some of the questions, the questionnaire. To be honest, you know what? I'll tell you what I would watch because I don't watch this stuff. I don't. I have no interest at all. For me, it's leftovers of The Office, reruns of The Office, and Yellowstone, and reruns of Wake Up Columbia on YouTube. You can watch YouTube. Watch the 93.9 The Eagle YouTube channel. You can watch Wake Up Columbia every day. How about like a senior citizen version of The Bachelor and Bachelorette? It'd be kind of like a nursing home, right? All these people living in it. But you take like somebody 65, 70 years old, put a dude in a house and put like a bunch of 65 and 70-year-old chicks in the house with them. And that is TV. I would watch that. See ya. Bye.